Good evening, everybody. Sorry about that. Yes, I tried to use OBS. It obviously didn't work very well, as you can tell. But thank you very much for joining me. Hopefully you hear me now, you can see me now. Good evening, Philip. Hi there. And I see some comments from Scott and Charles. Hi, Charles. Nice to talk to you, so to speak. And hello from France. Hey, liftoff. Yes, so I just need to crack this OBS thing. I've spent ages at the OBS software working, had a nice little layout all worked out, but not to be, but never mind. So I hope everyone is well. Thank you for tonight. So it should be the, there we go. Yes, so sorry about the pulling the plug last week. I'm glad to report that my daughter's wrist is not broken, which is fantastic. We've got a follow-up appointment on Friday with her, so hopefully that'll be sorted out. But yeah, crikey, what a week. So started off with a leaking water tank, which is very exciting, nothing model related whatsoever. And then we had a suspected broken wrist. And on Saturday, the conservatory door broke. So spent a lot of money in a very short space of time. And yeah, so managed to do precisely about an hour's worth of modelling over the last week or so. But coming along with the Intrepid. So sadly, I'm not going to be able to show you the updates I had for Intrepid. We've been working on the, so maybe I can show you. Working on the island. So you're right in front of my face. Which is really, really cool little thing. It's actually almost like a model in itself. I've forgotten how much I like building the islands. So that's coming along quite nicely. There's tons of photo etch still to go on this, and lots of doors, and I tried a bit of, you can see the nasty, hopefully slightly reflective goo, which is on the black here. So that's with humble Marscol. So my cunning plan, humble Marscol, anyone tried this? So the idea was to sort of try and paint the, there we go, paint the horizontal, the deck sections in one colour, so that when I come to spray it all, try and keep some of the base colour underneath it, where this would be a lighter grey. But yeah, we'll see. I've still got quite a bit of work to do on that. I'm not 100% sure it's going to work or not, but we shall see. It's bright, isn't it? Okay. And yeah. So GH Klosterman, where do I buy my models? I buy them mostly from eBay and Amazon. Here in the UK, we don't have an awful lot of bespoke model shops or model stores left. There's a nationwide one called Hobbycraft, which is mostly sort of arts and crafts and paints and sewing and tapestry type work and sort of big oil painting type stuff. And they do have, in Aylesbury where I live, they do have a model section, which is quite good, but it's sort of slowly dwindling. So you don't have a lot of variety. They do have quite a few paints though, which is quite a good thing. So you can't really do your bit for the local shops anymore, sadly. So sort of the odds of getting a good discount anywhere is very slim. So in short, the internet. Moscow is good, Charles. Yeah, I quite like it. It stinks. It absolutely stinks. It must be the ammonia in it, and it doesn't really do much for your brushes, so you have to have lots of window open. I literally painted it for about 5 minutes upstairs the other week. This week. And you could smell it downstairs after about 30 seconds. It's absolutely honking. Killer Giraffe, great name. Paint you the models with an airbrush. Yes, mostly I do the bulk painting with the airbrush, because the good thing about doing these sort of ships and stuff is that they're all quite base colours, so you don't really have to sort of use a lot of finesse for a lot of this stuff, but then you sort of the fine detail work, use get the base colour with the spray, the airbrush, and then use the brush for the smaller details. So, oh, good work, Scott. So you can, what is step one? Is that open the box, or is that sort of sticking on the what are they called? All the prop shafts. Ship nameplates. Do you use the kit ones, or do you have them fabricated? I'm thinking of getting a few engraved by a local engraver. That would be fantastic, Charles. That's a really good idea. I primarily use the kit ones. Which one have we got here? We've got a bit to read that. That's the New York. It's just with a little bit of dry brushing of gold or brass. But no, I think having a nice nameplate. I think because I haven't got one on a display base, but I think what I should do, I'm going to get around to it for the Illustrious, is put on a proper blast plate. So that's a really, really good idea. Oh, Scotty put the two guns together. Oh, that's good. It's made a start. I think, I can quite justifiably say building the Enterprise here, which famously took me 4 years of my life, slowly but surely. And yeah, you get there. Don't worry. It's no big rush, is it? Yeah, and I don't blame you for buying another one. It's always good to know you've got one in the cupboard. Yeah, I do like the local trophy engraver, so that's a really good idea. I've had a few sort of brass plaques and things from school re-engraved over the years, but I think that's quite good. So yeah, so that's the Soul update. Well, actually, no, tell a lie. Let's see if I can get it down for you. So here is the Intrepid. Hopefully you can see that. It's not too shining. Obviously you don't have to just look at my face, but so this is I painted with the Mr. Hobby red, and I added a few drops of deep yellow paint into there just to give it a bit more of an exciting colour. This is what, 4 days now, I think, and it's still a little bit tacky. And then, yeah, sort of mask that all off, so that's still to go. I'm not entirely sure. I think I'm going a bit avant-garde with the line here. Arguably, if I was being absolute purist about it, would be it's probably a little bit too high. But I quite like the bit at the back there. I think that adds a bit of extra uniqueness to it. So that needs to just sort of try and set down a bit. But then I've just been playing around with washing. So on the side, on the top here, hopefully it's not too reflective for you. There you go. So what I did with this is these light grey sections are what was wooden deck on the Intrepid, and at the front here you can see that's the base colour that I painted it. Ooh, there we go. So like a very light ghosty grey, and then added some wash to this guy here the other night actually. So this is the same Flurry Models dark wash that I used on my Star Destroyer model about 2 years ago, which turned out really, really well. So I could put that on, let it dry for about half an hour, and then you can easily rub it away with a damp cloth. So that's coming along. So just sort of toying around with this. So I've still got put the bootstrap line on, and then move on to all the extra details. There's still quite a few photo etch doors to put on, and then lots of railings along the sides, and then sort of the netting to go across. And yes, I snapped a bit off, so you've got to be very careful. It's not small, Scott, I have to say, and there are bigger ones, but it's a decent size. Enamel or acrylic, these were all acrylic paints. They're slightly different formulas. This is the first time I've ever used Mr. Hobby paints. Ooh, put that back. So they have got different chemical smells than good old Tamiya, but I'm sort of toying with moving over to become a Mr. Hobby. HMS Queen Elizabeth. I think it's fantastic, and I've got a special treat. So next week it's called half term here in the UK. So it's a sort of a semester break. So the school term, as we call it, runs from Christmas through to Easter. And then we take a break after about 7 weeks, which is half term. So the kids and the teachers get a week off, which is, for us anyway, next week. So Monday to Friday next week. So while my wife and daughter are off on holiday, I've got Monday and Tuesday off next week. And on the Monday, we're going to Portsmouth. My wife and I went to university in Portsmouth. We both studied geology. That's where we met and got together. And so we're going to go back down for the weekend, for the Monday, go for the day, and we're going to go on the harbour boat tour. And if you've ever seen the pictures of Portsmouth and the Queen Elizabeth coming into Portsmouth, the harbour boat tour is where you can see our brand spanking new super duper battle aircraft carrier. So I'm going to try and take as many photos as humanly possible. So once I get those, I'll obviously share them with you guys. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I've seen some photos of some famous landmarks. There's a really cool pub that we used to go to actually with the Spice Island Inn right on the it's called Old Portsmouth Seafront. So it's very close to the naval base. It's literally around the corner from the Warrior and the Victory. And yeah, so you can go along on a little boat tour, which takes about an hour. I mean, I've done it twice so far, which I saw the Illustrious before it was turned into Razor Blades, and a couple of Type 45 destroyers. The HMS Dragon, being half Welsh, is quite cool. So a whopping great dragon on the bow. So we'll do the same thing on Monday, and I think it's going to be really looking forward to that. Just painting the Ingersoll while listening. Oh, thanks, Charles. That's really good. Charles, just for the rest of you, is one of my founding patrons on the channel. So hopefully you stay through to the end of some of my videos. There's a link to become a patron. But Charles has supported me for about a month now, which is fantastic. So thank you very much, Charles, for the personal touch. But thank you very much. So yeah, the link below in all of my video descriptions, if you like to become a patron, have a look through. That'd be great. So I think, you know, after spending so much money on life stuff, I'm a little bit behind on my dream of getting the Yamato, which is why I set up the Patreon page to start with. Oh, Ross, so whereabouts are you based? So yeah, the Queen Elizabeth out of Portsmouth next time she's deployed. I think she's going back to America in the next couple of months, actually. And have they got their F-35s deployed on the ship, Scott? Not that I've seen. I don't know if this is true or not, but someone mentioned to me today that all of the F-35s out in America have been grounded because of technical issues. If anyone knows the answer to that, let me know. But I think it's due to happen in the next few months. I know that Queen Elizabeth's going back over to America sometime in the summer, I believe, to do some more testing and get everything installed. It said it's I was corrected the other day. It's not CIWS, it's called CWIS, the anti-aircraft new super duper guns that have been on ships for America for quite a few years now, but we're getting some of those. I've seen last week the Arleigh Burke destroyer Hopper in the East Sea. Oh, there she is, the Hopper. You really can't do this when you're doing it backwards. So yeah, so lots of exciting stuff. So yeah, I've seen a few tours. So the plan is we're going to go down for the day on Monday. We were talking the idea of staying over. I think we'll probably just have a late night home. We're about 2 hours away from Portsmouth, so it's not a million miles away. We're going to go on the Victory. I think it'll be quite good. My daughter's reading a book by a British author over here called David Walliams, and one of the stories is currently set on the HMS Victory, so she wants to go and see that, which would be quite cool. And then have a bit of a walk around, maybe go on the Warrior, which is next door, and Daddy gets to see the Queen Elizabeth, so looking forward to that. There is a small shop there as well that sells Navy models, so I might have to sort of poke my head around and see how that goes, but it'd be quite good fun. Yeah, so I've got a couple of days off and hopefully get a bit of time at the bench. What I'd quite like to do is try and, the grand plan for the Intrepid is to get the island finished to the point where I can start spraying it. So I've got railings to put on and quite a bit more photo etch, and then get that painted. And while that's drying nicely, can move back over to the main hull, put the paint on, do the last bits of the photo etch, and then put a gloss coat on to let it all dry for a week, so that the week after next, on the weekend, I can then move on to some of the weathering, which I'm really looking forward to. And it's been suggested by Charles, fun enough, to do a little video of how I actually come around painting the ships. So what I have done is, this is a very old and a very, actually, I have to say, utterly useless kit of the Ark Royal Flight Airfix. Is possibly the worst kit I've ever put together. Just literally does not line up at all. But so 1:600 scale, so that'll be quite good fun to sort of use this as a test bed. So I'll try and sort of mirror what I'd like to do for the ship space of this. So broadly speaking, and again I'll do a video of this when I get the chance, but plan is sort of build the kit and then we'll put on Vallejo back primer. Funny enough, I bought a week or so ago this stuff. This is the polyurethane, really good stuff. Put that primer on, let that sit in, and then I use one of the, I know not the only one, but sort of the light and dark shading point. So what I'd like to try and do is you can sort of see, imagine your mind's eye, tilt the ship so you can see where the highlights would be and the low lights. So if you look at it here, sort of where these little indents are, sort of where the light would shine. You wouldn't be able to get immediately under the deck, because of the flight deck, because of the angles here, but then spray on some white or to very light grey to whiten everything up, and then before you move on to the actual hull grey of the ship. So you sort of, once you have a nice thin paint, and then you can weather that out quite nicely. So basically, go nice and thin, really water it down, or thin it down, thin as rather. You can then very, very gently keep spraying until it's wet, let it dry, and if you sort of do it carefully, it does take a bit of practice, I've found, and I still haven't cracked it 100%, I have to say, but then you can, when it is dry, you can start to see the two tones. You can see the dark and the light coming across in between the two bands on the hull, and then let that dry, and that's really good, and then you can sort of see how it all layers up. Have you a project to build the French carrier? No, let's not say deliberately no. This is sort of popped up on the radar, but definitely on the wish list now, I'd say. It is a funny old kit, John. I know you can buy all sorts of extra photo etch, and I was tempted, but I thought the photo etch set for this, which is another £30, and then I can't remember, this kit cost about 20 quid, I think, when I bought it. I found it up in a loft about 2 weeks ago. You can buy photo etch sets for it, but it's awful. It's really, really bad. The plastic's so thick, creaks, not join up together, terrible seam lines. But for a demonstration, yeah, why not? You never know, you might have to buy a replacement kit for it at some point in the near future. Not the fact that I've got this to work through. So that's the plan. So a little bit behind with the live stuff. And then move on to the wasp. So why don't I get the wasp out here? There's the wasp. So it's got, just for reference from a size point of view, this one is more or less the same size as the Intrepid. So it's the same. It's not, in American Navy terms, a proper aircraft carrier anymore. But this is roughly the same size as the Intrepid. You've seen the video, you can find it on the channel. I got this in the autumn from a guy who has already built it. So it's sort of, it's been built, it's been painted to a degree. He painted the lower hull red, and then some of the island bits, and then some of the aircraft which is stuck on. But these kits for us are 150 quid easy, which is extortion for this. But it did come with lots of little bits. So basically what I've done, as you can see, I've hacked off the bottom, which is no mean feat in itself. So the plan is to turn this into a waterline version, obviously, and then put it on a display base, and then don't drop this tray. Put on the hovercraft, or the, what do we call it, LCACs? We just call them hovercrafts over here. So I think have the ship going across the top of a big board, and then underneath have 3 hovercraft, possibly a landing craft, possibly 1 or 2 little rubber dinghy boats, and a couple of amphibious tanks, I guess they're called. So you can see that, and then I think it'd be quite cool to sort of add a bit to life. I quite like the illustrious up there, having the aircraft sort of flying over. So I think having a few ospreys taking off and sort of starting their flight, very much Apocalypse Now type scenario would be quite cool. And I might have to tap you up, Charles, and see how you got on with that nameplate, because I think that'd be quite cool for that. Oh, everything's catched up. So yes, Scott. So it's a second-hand kit, so I didn't actually put this one together myself, I have to say. I've had to sort of break bits off, and some bits have been snapped in the process of cutting the bottom off. So the plan is to sort of rectify it. I've got a couple of photo etch sets as well, so I'll be able to sort of rescue the old girl, bring it back to life. French Karen slash Clemenceau. Oh, that'd be quite good. Killer Draft, can you please make a video of who your models painted? I'm not sure what you mean by that, so, but yeah, how I paint the models. Yes, that's what's on the plan for the next couple of weeks, if that's what you mean. Yeah, GH Klosterman. Yeah, you built the OMG. Oh, cool. It's a very nice kit. There are lots of parts. Yes, there are lots of parts. Freakishly high number of parts. So the plan is to cut the door, the landing door of the well deck, so that it'll basically sort of, we have the ship in, we won't be moving through the water, kind of stationary, unlike the Illustrious would have the back door sort of down. You might sort of have to cut it in a way so that it looks like it's in the water. LCAC, thank you, LCAC. See, separated by a common language, aren't we? So that'd be quite cool. So yeah, do a water display base, and I'm going to use exactly the same method I use for the Illustrious, fun enough. So I'll have a, we call it polyfiller, but it's like an interior filler on a wooden base. Actually got some wood already for it, a piece of called MDF, about 2 centimetre thick, so it's quite a large piece. The only catch is I literally have nowhere to put it. As you can see, the Enterprise on the shelf here behind me, and the other guys as well, but in front of me, which you can't see off camera, is also where the Intrepid lives and where the Nimitz lives. The Nimitz and the Enterprise are so blimmin' heavy, I don't want them to be floating, as it were, on some shelves, so I need to be a little bit mindful of space. Might have to sort of double some of these fellas up and move some things around. My new amphibious assault ship to go with the Albion class. Ooh, that's very nice. I think there's one which I've been keeping my eye on. I think it's a resin kit. It's got a triple-barreled name, which I can never remember. Saw from Hobby sell it. It's not an LPD. I can't remember what it's called. I'll have to look it up. That would be nice to have alongside that, because I've got the New York, which goes with the Wasp, so I have a bit of a fleet. Charles, have you ever considered wiring the ship for lighting? Yes, the plan is to light the Nimitz. So when I get around to finish it after the Wasp, I'm going to light the hangar deck inside, sorry, the hangar bay inside, and then have some lights coming through for the island. So I started hollowing some of that out. In fact, if I put my hands on it, I can't put my hands to it. So I'll be able to light that. That's the plan. I've had one not very successful attempted lighting model kit, which I think I put a video up, which was when I built what was going to be a USS Enterprise from Star Trek a few years ago, ended up burning my hand on a soldering iron, dropped the model and turned it into a nacelle little scout version. Phillips lighting the QM2, that'd be quite good. Nice kit to see, yeah. Good day for the USA, because in French it's the night. Oh, 10 p.m. Oh, yes, it is quite cute now ahead, aren't you? How's the weather out there? We've had a lot of high winds and cold snaps the last few days, although we had a balmy 10 degrees Celsius today, which was, compared to the last few days, almost t-shirt and short weather. Michael, how much time do you spend modelling a week? Last week, not a lot, but I think on the whole, I probably have at most sort of 6 hours a week that I could model in between work, commuting, dinner, family, driving around my daughter on Saturday morning, tidying the house, all that sort of stuff. So probably 4 or 6 hours, something like that. Don't always do it all the time. Sometimes I'm, like the rest of you, just exhausted and I just can't be bothered, I have to say. Retrieving stuff, but yeah, sort of a good half a dozen hours a week. How about you? So lots to do. Sort of channel news, we'll cover that off. So yeah, I had a bumper month in January. I think I eventually found that my video showing 15 ships of the fleet ended up on a Reddit post. So long story short, one day I had 90 subscribers, 8,000 views on that alone, and ended up 1,300 subscribers more for the month of January, which is absolutely amazing. It'll be quite as high for February, but I'm rapidly approaching the 5,000, which I still can't believe is true. And yeah, it's all coming along quite nicely. I'm really looking forward to hitting the 5,000. I think it's fantastic that sort of so many people watch my videos, let alone subscribe to them. Although that particular video is not a million miles away from hitting 100,000 views, which I think is absolutely mind-blowing. The fact that there's 100,000 people, or they're not necessarily unique views, so that tens of thousands of people that are watching the video is fantastic. But then, yeah, I updated that with the 18 ship version a week or two ago, I think it was now. So that's had the new editions of the Intrepid, the Wasp, and I can't really see it behind me, the Russian Alpha, which I'm hopefully going to try and paint in the next few days, get some paint on that. Yes, Michael, the joys of being a parent. But, you wouldn't have it any other way. But it's nice when you do get the chance. For instance, what did I go tonight? My wife is part of what we call a rock choir, which is kind of like a glee club type thing, you might call it in America. So on Wednesday night, she's at the house for 2 hours, so I can talk to lovely people or do some modelling, so try and sort of do a bit of both. Which manufacturer of the matter am I planning on? I didn't know there was more than one. I only thought there was the Tamiya one, but I know there's 2 versions of the Tamiya. There's the old one and then the new one, but pray tell, how many more are there? I should do my own convention. Oh, Michael, I'd like to. I'm not sure many people would come, but no, I'm hoping to go to, it's called Model Craft, which is in Milton Keynes, which is about half an hour away from me in the end of April. So I went to that last year, which was really, really good fun. It was absolutely boiling day, and the place where they held it in the sports hall had the heating on. I got stuck a couple of hours before it started, so it was really hot, as you can imagine. And my little brother, who doesn't like models, but he's going to come with me when we go next time, so that should be quite fun. Mini Hubble models for the Yamato. I'll have to have a look at that. I've not even heard of that before. How exciting. I'll scribble that down before I forget. Cool. Yeah, so that's it for the next sort of week or so. Bit of holiday, bit of modelling, bit of painting. I'm going to try and improve my my airbrush cleaning skills. It's always been a bit of a thorn in my side. I'm just not very good at it. I've seen videos, I've been practicing. That's why I just don't bother buying an expensive airbrush. So I know at some point I'll clog it up. But I think I'll try and I've seen a really okay, good review version of a ultrasonic cleaning box tool thing, which I might treat myself to when we get paid next, and give that a will hopefully improve that. But yeah, try and do some bit more painting. Yes, and Scott, before I forget, thank you for your very, very kind comment about the lightsabers. Yeah, it's nice. I wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for doing the first live stream 2 weeks ago. So, ultrasonically, thank you. So, yeah, I think that's the beauty of these internet things and having live streaming, and you can have a chat with people out there, which is quite exciting. Check Argos. Yes, that's a very good idea. So yeah, I might have a look at that. So silly notifications. So yeah, so that's happening. So well, that is the plan modelling-wise. Infrastructure-wise, horrible word, but they had a mini panic the other day. I've got two two Mac computers at home. One is a MacBook Pro, and the other one is a Mac Pro, the big silver, I think, cheese grater tower, which is like the primary sort of backup and archive and our iTunes library and Plex and all that sort of governs. We do have a smaller, older Mac Mini downstairs connected to the TV, funny enough. But for those ultra geeky people out there, I have 4 discs in the Mac Pro, a system disk, and then 3 discs in a RAID. One of the RAID disk is failing. Lots of scary looking lights the other day, which is a bit of a worry because I don't want to lose anything. Obviously, model stuff and family photos and movies and daughter growing up and being pregnant and all that sort of stuff. So I have to sort of rejig some files. But this isn't a tech channel, but I thought I'd just give you a bit of a insight as to what's going on as a sort of like a behind the scenes in some way, these little videos. Goulburn South Station High Enterprise is brilliant. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm really proud of her. It's a lot of effort and blood and sweat and tears, literally all of those went into that. You can build it in less than 4 years, so don't sort of take my word for it. But yeah, we bought it, carried on for a bit, stopped, carried on for a bit, so a few good sort of 5 or 6 months off, and then found out my wife was pregnant, and I thought, oh crikey, I'm going to have to finish this before it comes, or else I won't be able to touch it for a year. So we had 4 months of go, 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 and ended up with something I'm really proud of. Fantastico. Yes, so thank you for everyone who's just joined again. So yeah, I think hopefully this is a good time for you. I might try to do the odd slightly different time, or maybe one on the weekends in the afternoon, and sort of mix it up a bit for international audiences. But this is only the second time I've really done this, so it's a good time for me, but we'll try and sort of work that out. Oh my god, have you thought about a Type 25 frigate or Type 45 destroyer? Yes, I have. I do keep an active eBay search for the Type 45 destroyer in particular. I don't know what it is, maybe it's just the fact that Amazon and eBay keep their prices high, but they're very expensive. When will I continue with the Nimitz? I know I've been very slack on that. So plan is Holy Blue Llama, good name again, finish Intrepid. I'm going to be a year of finishing things. Finish Intrepid, start and then finish the Wasp, get that all done, and then move on to the Intrepid. So, sorry, the Enterprise. We'll talk into the Nimitz. So 3 big ships, 3 times the work. I added up the other day. I think it's 120 aircraft I want to build. I hate building aircraft. It's the bane of my life. I don't know why they do it in clear parts. I hate it. Thank you, Philip, for stopping by. It's very kind. Charles, the live chat from the expo would be good. Yeah, I did a live walk around last year when I went, so have a look at that. But yeah, I think having a bit of a stream would be quite cool. I think the only trouble with doing it live is quality's not very good. I tried it when I was there, and it was really grainy. But I think I'll give it a go, even if it's a short one. I'm going to see if I can speak to a few. It's an amazing place. I've never seen so many old member beards. It's fantastic. But have a look to see if there's anyone who'd be interested in doing some maybe product reviews or some paint reviews, that sort of thing. Have a chat with them, why they are doing what they do, that sort of stuff. I'm always slightly jealous of Andy's model workshop, having your own model shop and building models and putting them on YouTube. Pretty much my dream job, really. I'd much rather be doing that than what I do. So that'd be quite exciting. Yeah, the Type 45 Destroyer is very cool, Roger. I think we'll get to it and do the HMS Dragon. I've seen any photos of that, having the big Welsh dragon on the side would be pretty awesome. Especially being half Welsh, as I am, which I get my flaming red hair from. And yeah, it'd be pretty cool. It'd be nice to have it alongside the Lusty. So I do need to fluff out the British fleet, so it's a bit out of shot. On top of the shelf, the very top of the Austrias is where the Bismarck and the Prince of Wales sit. So I might have to have a rejig. My brother got it in 1990 and still hasn't started. Oh, the Enterprise. Oh, wow. Maybe one day. This could be the year. Yeah, get paid to build models. I think, well, you know, I know that people do build commissions. I'm not sure I'm high enough quality. Well, I know I'm not high enough quality people to pay me to build models for them and then post them out. I don't know how they post them or deliver them. I could not put that in a box, the Enterprise, put it in a box and post it to someone 10 houses down, let alone around the world. So I don't really know how they do it. The sheer logistics of putting it in a box and making sure that none of the parts get snapped off is more scary than building the ship in the first place. But it would be pretty cool. Fantastic. So yes, I will definitely do a live stream for Modelcraft. Yes, it's the end of April. I can't remember the exact date, the 29th or 30th or something. I'll do that, and then I'll crack on with somewhere in there doing a tutorial video, or not tutorial, that's puts a lot of ego into it. How I paint my model video, shall we say. Finish up the island for the Intrepid, get back onto the hull for the Intrepid, and sort of start pulling things through, because I'd like to try and get it done by Easter, which is sort of April time, I think mid-April. So that's be quite nice. So I don't want to spend months and months and months just trying to sort of keep the pace on. But yes, life has a way of getting in the way. And if we don't fix the leaking water tank, it goes everywhere, as we found out. And if you don't have a lockable conservatory door, Charles, consider doing a segment on model transport. How will you transport your ships to a show? Yeah, I can do it. I've only done it once, I'll be honest, which was last year, and I put them all in a crate. I think I've got a couple of pictures flying around. I think actually might have a thumbnail of them last year, but yes, I can certainly do that. I think definitely a good idea. I'm just not sure if I'm your guy for that. I've got sort of breadth of experience, to be brutally honest, but I can certainly share what I have learned. I mean, some of the guy, I know one guy, we're going to got some photos of it. He had a 1:200 scale Nelson next to my Arleigh Burke. How on earth he got that there, I literally can't tell you. It's bigger than the Enterprise, probably from there to about there. The Enterprise is a metre long, 3 feet, so it was at least 4. And I don't know how you do that. Some of the smaller figurines and things that the people had would much more easily, put it in a shoebox with some paper towel wrapped around it and bubble wrap. But having a big old ship like that, I don't know. Brilliant. Right, guys. Well, thank you very much for joining me. Sorry for the slow start. I do need to try and crack how to get a what's the best way? How to get OBS working better than it did, because I can't seem to sort of put a reminder video up and then kick in OBS at the same time. I wouldn't let my Mrs. driver there. No, or anyone driver there. Very carefully. Yeah, it was a big old crate. And thank you, Charles. Yes, I will dig out what I did. I'm not sure if I'm going to take anything with me this year, but sort of being a full-on spectator and have a budget was good, because I got the Prince of Wales at the Model Craft last year, so that's quite good. I think it's just the way sort of technology moves. I took some pocket money with me, and a lot of the vendors there, they'll have those small. We use what's called wireless pay here. Basically, it's called tap and touch. So you can spend up to £30 on your card without having to put your PIN number in, that sort of stuff. But a lot of vendors sort of had little PayPal-linked devices that you can just use and buy things on credit cards, which is slightly scary. But yeah, it'd be nice to come away with something. Maybe Arizona, I saw last year. It was 1 to 200 Arizona, and I was terrified, but it would be nice. I'd love to see how much these things are, and go from there. Fantastic. So unless anyone's got any last questions, I think I'll call it a night, and then we can have another go next week, if that's all right. I think it's a good time, everyone. Are there big companies like Airfix or Tammy making the carriers? Not that I've seen. I actually messaged, I think it was on Twitter, Airfix not long after the Queen Elizabeth was launched. The reply somewhere saved away. They don't have any plans yet. You never know, it could do a crowdfund, and we can make our own and join together. That'd be quite good fun, wouldn't it? So no, it would be fantastic to get hands on as and when it comes up. It could be as big because it's so new. You just can't get the hands on the plans. So I think sort of photos are the only reference materials out there. In fact, I did reach out to a friend of my brother's, who's a lieutenant commander in the Navy, to see if I could get a sneak peek on the Queen Elizabeth, and he said, no, I can't get anywhere near it, and I'm a lieutenant commander, so it's for serious people only. Oh, thank you, Charles. Yes, thank you very much. It's good to talk to people. I think, because I think YouTube can be a fantastic medium for sharing people's passions, hobbies, whatever the subject, and it's a bit one way. I think it's nice to get the comments, obviously, but you can sort of write whatever you want, and I just sort of wonder what people are doing when they get it. Are they waiting on the bus stop? Are they at work? Are they lying in bed in the morning before they get up, and all that sort of stuff? So I think having a full-on interactive chat with people is pretty cool. The unknown player 88, thank you. That's very kind. Brilliant. All right. Well, hope you have a good week, and thank you, Goldman. That's very kind. And yes, so I'll try and share a few pics on the channel community page for when we go to Portsmouth. Also put some on the channel Facebook page, so there's a link below. And if you're feeling brave, like Charles, and want to support my crazy adventures in modelling, I'd like to consider becoming a patron. Please have a look at the details below. So I'm going to be doing that in the background. I'm going to be doing recorded commentaries for a couple of movies, Hunt for the Red October. I'm a massive Star Wars fan, as Scott will vouch for. So I'm going to be doing those. A friend of mine who doesn't live a million miles away, who's an uber geek in Star Wars. I thought I liked it a lot, but he's literally a Jedi master to my youngling, as they say. So that would be quite cool. And go from there. Awesome. Okay, well, thank you very much, everybody. And until next time, happy modelling, and yeah, enjoy your weekend. All right then, thank you. Bye-bye.